Thank you again for speaking with me. Go ahead and state your name and tell me your ride. What are we looking at?
How you doing? I'm Tom. It's a B7 RS4.
All right, and this is a very extremely attractive car. It's grown a lot of attention. I mean, you have a wonderful platform to start with. Go ahead and tell me why Audi, why this car?
So I got back in Audis back in 2015. I bought my first one. It was a B8.5 RS5, and then I did everything with that car. You know, joined the Audi clubs and tracked it and autocross. I did everything you can, and just kind of fell in love with the brand. Since then, I've bought 5 more Audis, so I have a bunch of Audis. Besides that, a lot of my friends had these cars when I got into the scene, and I got to know all the SoCal RS4 guys. So I just was around them a lot, would see them. Just wanted something manual fun. My RS5 got totaled out a couple of years after I had purchased it. Porsche actually hit me. So long story short, another friend of mine actually bought this car a few years ago. He was moving for a job offer, was selling some cars, and offered it to me. Had a fuel leak and didn't have had the supercharger kit, which is kind of a rare.
I know. I mean, and it fits flush. It looks super nice in your engine bay.
Yeah, it's one of the. So it's made by a company AMD. And installed by a company up in Seattle. So they only did one run of these superchargers, and after that they never did, but most people consider it to be one of the better ones for the car.
Gotcha.
It was a great opportunity to pick up a car with a part that was hard to get. Since then, I've had a fuel leak when I got it. I fixed that, and then I've gone through and I put the Maxton design body kit on there, custom painted it to match the LO optics on the car. These are RS5 rotors. They're the kind of rare all-silver version. And then obviously, besides that, I put a stage 4 South Bend clutch in their car. I bagged it. It was on coils before, but I bagged it. I have some Recaros at home, but I haven't got around to putting them in the car yet. The Group M intake for the carbon fiber intake.
Which is my favorite piece of it.
Yeah. It's funny because it's more of a JDM company, right? It's a Japanese company, but they make a lot of Euro intakes. It's really the only carbon fiber option. So that's the problem with this platform. As it gets a little bit older, some of the parts are harder to find. Even some of the stock, like one of my door blades was coming off and had to go through a lot of trouble to try to repair it. But yeah, besides that, not a ton more you can do to the car as far as performance-wise. There's like 1 or 2 guys in the scene that have upgraded some big turbos, but that's very extensive endeavor and a lot of money and R&D going into those cars.
No, I'm telling you, this thing looks perfect. I mean, almost just the way it is, man. And I think the bags honestly complements it. You already got the body kit for it. I mean, it's coming together beautifully. You have a wonderful platform again to start with. Could you tell us, like, how did you get into the car scene in general, and how did you gravitate towards Audis or in German cars in itself?
Yeah, so I've always loved cars growing up. Just drew me to them. I couldn't afford anything nice growing up, so I just had regular cars. When I joined the military back in 2003, gotcha. I kind of waited a couple of years. I sold my car to my brother for $1, and then I saved up. I actually bought a Mazda Millennia S. It's kind of a rare 2-year car they did a run of, and they made it to kind of compete with, like, they were trying to make a luxury performance brand. Mazda was. So at the time, it was a supercharged car, really nice and fast for its time. Had like a little over 300 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for a car of that, back then was pretty. So that's what really got me into kind of performance-oriented cars, probably. Besides that, went through a couple trucks and other things I built, and then when I was looking to get back into the cars, I had a Lexus GS I had for a while that I had just lowered and put nice wheels and stuff. And then I was kind of just bored of the performance. I really wanted something that would be
exciting.
Yeah, more fun to drive. And so I started debating like which car to get, and went through a long search. And I kind of was looking at the older, like 2014, 15 M5s. I was looking at the F80 M3, M4s,
which a lot of people default to, which is not a problem. But again, you went here.
Yeah, great bang for your buck, right? But at the time, really, I just kept going back because I had a lot of friends that had GTRs as well, so I looked at that. But I just decided that was a car, yes, I could afford to buy it, but I couldn't afford to modify it. And if it broke at the time, my budget wasn't that I could. So I really didn't want to get into one yet. And then I actually went to a dealership to test drive an S7.
Big one, right?
Yeah, and it was used, a couple years old, decent price, but they had a B8.5 RS5 on the lot, and I was like, okay, can I test drive this car too? Because it just caught my attention. The body lines were so beautiful, and the test drive, that was it. You know, I fell in love with the car.
Oh man, I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
story.
it just sounded great. It looked great, and I had already been pre-approved for the other car, but I just went home and was like, took a couple days to think about it.
Good.
And then
Right? You're supposed to do that.
Well, usually I'm more of an impulse guy, so I was like, I just kept thinking about it, and finally, you know, I went back, reached back out to the dealer and told the guy I wanted it, and then you know, went to the bank, modified my loan accordingly, and just ended up buying the car. And like I said, from there, I don't think I just you would go to Cars and Coffee and stuff already as it was, but I went to one. I ran into a couple Audi guys, and kind of just got caught up into the
and
you
now
know.
look at this group. This is a
Yeah.
fantastic group, and I love the fact that you guys are here because I just live up the street, you know, so I
Okay,
can go
yeah,
and check
yeah.
everything out.
Yeah, for
That's a
sure.
great story. That's a great story, and it goes to the testament of, hey, test drive something, even if you're not too sure, you may end up falling in love with it.
Yes.
Just a couple more questions. Now, German cars, German engineering, wonderful. But the maintenance and the expenses, tell me, how true is that stereotype?
I can't lie, it's very true. So, you know, as a guy that grew up just tinkering on stuff and learning basic stuff, when I bought my RS5, I was still a little bit younger, and salary was not bad. But the first time I tried to mod that car, what I didn't realize is the more exclusive a car is, the less there is for aftermarket parts. So you're paying more for R&D and kind of for that badging also. Because if the bold B8.5 RS5 has the same drivetrain, same quattro, same engine as the R8 at the time, and so you were paying like intakes, for instance, the Venturi intakes I had. There's a $4,500 to get a dual carbon fiber intake, which is insane. You know, like especially comparative to like a JDM or a
$200,
or American-made
right?
car. So really, instead of like paying people to do the work, which was so expensive on the car, I just started buying the tools instead, and then I would learn. And nowadays, YouTube, and just like I said, I got plugged in with a lot of Audi VW friends, and people would help me out, and I kind of just got better and better over the years, and then got to be the point where I was kind of one of those go-to guys where people come into my garage, and I would help them out.
And I think the community, if people that want any kind of car, if they can get involved with the community itself, you know, you'll find that free labor, or you'll find that knowledge that, you know, you don't want to pay $90, $100 an hour for somebody else
like
to do.
And I think now a lot of Audi labor rates are probably in the 130s to 140s in LA, you know, depending on where you live. And then same thing, Porsche even higher. So
The emphasis.
But back to your original question, like the parts, no doubt, the parts are definitely more expensive. You know, I have a Volkswagen GTI fully built as well. It's funny because that's what you have to do is you research. A lot of the Audi parts are the same as VW. You can go to VW and get the same part for $30 cheaper.
Hey.
You just have to look up the part numbers and do your research. And the other, really probably the other real hard part to get into German cars is, even if you are going to tinker yourself, the tool set's completely different. It's a lot of specialty tools. You're running, instead of, you know, standard, you have a lot of metric tools. So there's just so many
Torques.
Once you triple squares and torques, all these things you would never know, and you think you have all the tools, but you don't get the right length one. And so over time, you slowly build it up, and you get the right, and like I said, you know, and you know, there's all these other things you can do. Even AutoZone and stuff rents out tools as long as you give it back, you get your money back type stuff. So it's definitely more expensive. It depends on the brand and the car you buy and how well it comes already pre-built. I would say, you know, they're always competing against each other, and the competition helps raise the quality, I think, because for a while I would say Audis were doing great with interiors, and then I would say BMW kind of surpassed them at one point, just putting nicer stock option stuff.
Yeah.
But I think lately you see a lot of performance Audis and stuff are starting to get back up to par now, coming with nicer brakes from the factory, things like that. Because that was one of the things, a lot of the older cars. Some of the older cars had really good mods on them. Like these brakes are 8-pot brakes
Dang,
to share. The same as that were on the Gallardo, I believe. So they were off one of the Lambos, I believe, as the Gallardo at the time. Had the same had the same brakes in their Brembos, you know, all around.
course,
Brembos
yep.
all around. So whereas some of the new ones were kind of generic, or usually the RS models come with really nice brakes.
Yeah,
still.
they like that gray RS3 back there, but
But-
I mean, no, I totally get it, and I appreciate your commentary on it, because you know there is that learning curve. It's going to be a little bit steeper. It's going to cost a little bit more, but again, emphasis on community, emphasis on knowledge, and trying to do it yourself as best as possible.
Yeah.
Last question: California wants to transition to electrification in the next 15 to 20 years. The VW Audi group, you know, the last of the R8, they want to go full electric by 2033. You know, we have a lot of these issues coming up. What are your thoughts of electrification and kind of the future of the car culture?
So my initial thought is I'm really not a fan. I understand, you know, the convenience of an electric car, especially if it's your daily and you're just staying local. But worrying about range, it's funny because we complain about the range thing, and then a lot of us car guys swap out our fuel systems and put E85. And this car is actually running on a 100 octane tune, so already very limited on where you can get it. So in that sense, I think you can work around, and the chargers in California are pretty readily available. But to me, it takes away the joy of driving the car. I've been in some nice Teslas, you know, the faster versions, and I've even been in Audi e-tron GT, and you know, the acceleration and the performance of the cars is actually really good. So I think eventually people will come around more. But the feedback, the sound, the experience, the smells, all those things, just you can't duplicate those. So I've actually continued to buy older cars.
Just a manual shift.
Yeah,
you know?
that was one of the big appeals about getting back into this car. You know, get back into a 6-speed, and since then I bought a 1984 Porsche 944, just a little 5-speed. It's fun. I have a couple other cars as well too, and all my older cars I keep seeking out a manual.
You're
you know?
more of a purist, and well, you know, you're not necessarily against
Well,
it.
I would say I like the experience and things of the cars that draw you in as far as those sounds and smells and everything. I'd say very far from a purist, because a lot of the Audi enthusiasts don't like what I do to my cars. They don't.
I see what
they
you're
don't
saying.
like
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
bag it and you do maybe more eccentric mods. Some of my other cars I've had multicolored wheels and all kinds of crazy things, you know. But ultimately, all that stuff, you know, do what makes you happy and enjoy your car how you want to. You're the one spending the money and the time in it, you know.
Yeah, no kidding. Dude, you've been a fantastic conversation. Fantastic. I appreciate you very much. Thank you again for your time. Go ahead and give out any shout outs. If you have Instagram plugs or anything like that, go ahead and do so now.
Okay, my Instagram is dope.euros, and then I'm part of San Diego Audi Club. I'll shout out the other clubs that are here. So you got Audi Club IE, you got SoCal Quattro, you got some Audi Club Los Angeles guys, and then probably some Audi Club Orange County guys. But thanks to VW Syndicate for putting on the show, as well as SoCal Water Cooled. We've been making an emphasis, a lot of us that are participate in the clubs and help run the clubs, just trying to bring the Audi VW community together. There was always kind of a divide, especially between older VW guys and newer VW guys, and Audi VW. And we've been, the last few years, really just trying to bring the Euro community together, even trying to bring in the BMW and Mercedes guys who kind of tend to do their own thing naturally.
Right.
So, but we just want people that love and appreciate cars, period. That's really what it comes down to.
Dude,
So.
that's the best, man. You have been phenomenal. Thank you so much. I'm going to just do another quick walk around, but